Good afternoon, students. A very warm welcome from my side. My name is Jyoti. Today we are doing the foundation paper, business correspondence and reporting. The topic for today is Introduction to Basics of Writing. It's a very interesting topic. It's an easy topic also, but the whole discussion about different styles of writing is based on this. So I would really be happy if all of you join the class quickly and we can start the session without much ado. I can see some of you have already joined. Nice to see all of you. Good afternoon, Dhwani, Bhargavi, Bhumika. Good afternoon, Anand, Avdesh, Vibhu. Good afternoon, Ishan. Very nice. So many students in the class. This is just awesome. Good afternoon, Lisa, Surya, Jia, Arisha. Good afternoon, Srinidhi. Good afternoon, Jyoti and Keshav and Kunal. Nice to have you all back in class. So can I assume that everything which we have done in the last class for note making is all clear with you? Any doubts in note making, you can put it in the query. It will reach me. I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible with all your doubts. Good afternoon, Kriti and Pranav. Good afternoon, Usat Singh. Good afternoon, Nikita and Soumya and Arshdeep and Zeba. So I hope you all are gaining a lot from these classes. The classes are meant for the benefit of the students because these are subjects which probably you might not have heard or maybe studied earlier. Since it's a new topic, since CA is mostly associated with topics of tax and accounts and finance, these are topics which are kind of new to the curriculum. That's the reason why we are having these virtual classes, these live virtual classes. And hence I request all of you, please be attentive. It might be a sleepy afternoon, it might be a dull Monday, but please get back to your energy levels, stay a little more bright and active, and please concentrate because these topics will not be repeated. It's always good to be in a live class than to see the recorded lecture because then you can ask me stuff. And when I'm explaining it in the class, things are different. I can share some examples which I probably don't have on the PPT. I can be sharing otherwise. I might be doing some part of the study material, maybe not today, but for some other topic. So it's always good to be active in class. Okay. I'm good, Nikita. Thank you so much. How are you doing? Good afternoon, Palak and Diksha and Chaitanya and Sanjay and Shalini and Sagar. So a very good afternoon to all of you. Nice to have you back in class. And let's start the session, which is Introduction to Basics of Writing. Okay. Now, before I start, can I just ask quickly, how many of you are very good writers? And when I mean writing, I'm asking you any language. I'm not specifically talking about English, or I'm not talking about Marathi or Telugu or Kannada. Anything, any language you write, how many of you are writing? Quickly. You write a diary, maybe you write blogs, maybe you write articles, or maybe when you were in school, you were very good at your essay writing in English or Hindi or any third language which you had. Can I just know that quickly, please? It's just for my knowledge, okay? It's not related to the class. I just wanted to know how many of you are into writing. Okay, Bhargavi is. Okay, what do you write, Bhargavi? Anything which you can share with what you write? You write a lot of stuff, maybe you write letters. Okay, so whatever, guys. Not very much speedy, but good in writing. Okay, Kriti, that's good. Okay, Palak is a good writer. Fine. Nital says Gujarati. Okay, good, Nital. Adish, why? What is my question, Adish, and what are you asking right now? I'd like to write stories in Hindi and English and Shairi. Okay, that's awesome, Surya. And Shivangi says, good afternoon. Okay. Adish, we can discuss the details of professions later if you don't mind. I'll ask you what you are doing and you can ask me what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, Kannada, that's good. Bhargavi, okay. In college, you were writing Avinash, okay. Okay, Palak says she writes letters and stories. Okay. So I get this feel that many of you are into good kind of writing, various writings like stories and articles. Some of you said letters, some of you said essays, some of you said shairi for that matter. That's also interesting. Okay, and average writer parts, it's okay. Okay, Dhwani writes in Gujarati. Okay, very good. Okay, Devesh, now there is nothing about time. You can give 1 hour, you can give 100 hours, you can give 3 days. It's just completely on your understanding of the subject. How can you expect somebody to tell you how much time is to be given for a particular subject? If you're good at language, if you're good at communication, if you are understanding the subject very well, then you might as well do it very quickly. But if it's a subject which is taking time, where you think I need to read more, I'm not very good at reports, I'm not very good at notes, I'm not very good at summary writing, Pressy is not my forte, CV writing takes a lot of time, then you please spend more hours. Okay, it's very logical actually. Okay, good afternoon, Asha. Hindi and English, Bibhu. Okay. Neha, what exam form? Exam form ke liye I would not be the right person to discuss. Please, you have other means and channels to discuss how to fill the exam form. So this is not the right platform to discuss how to fill forms. Okay. I would generally be taking a class on a topic. You may ask any question which is related to the topic for other different queries. You have websites and you have help numbers. You can talk there. Okay, Neha? Okay, Shalini knows Tamil and Diksha knows English, Hindi, Marathi. Great. So now when I'm asking you this, my whole intent behind asking you all this is when you guys write, you always have a theme in mind. Okay, suppose I want to write a story. Now, for that story, what I'll do is I'll think of a character, I'll think of a plot, I'll think of a climax, I'll think of probably, how many characters should I have, what kind of a discussion will the characters do. So there is a set line, isn't it? Now, so that's a pattern. That's the plot of the story. So it starts from a certain point, it goes to a certain point, it ends towards a certain point. That's how a story is narrated. In case of our subject, when we are talking about, let's say, introduction to basics of writing, when we are doing basics of writing, we only have to remember that it's going to be related to the formal aspect, which is it's going to be related to corporate communication. It's not going to be very personal. So I'm not talking about writing letters to friends. I'm not talking about writing blogs. My main concern will be why do I write, how do I write, and what do I write? Okay, from the subject point of view, from the CA point of view. So you might be asked to write reports, you might be asked to write notes, you might be asked to write surveys, you might be asked to write audit reports. So all that compilated is what my agenda will be. Fine? Okay, great. So I'm going to share my PPT now and we'll start with the first slide. The PPT is visible, I hope. Okay, fine. So my first topic is the 4 components of language, which means language has 4 aspects to it. The 4 outer circles are what I mean when I say 4 components. Components is what is language made of. It is made of reading, it involves listening, it involves writing, it involves speaking. Now, I cannot say that any specific one component plays a heavier role than the other. That I cannot say, because what happens is sometimes reading is more important. Unless I read, I don't understand. Unless I write, I cannot express. Unless I listen, I cannot gain more knowledge. And unless I speak, I cannot convey. So, for each of the different verbs I mentioned, for each of the different aspects, I need one of the components. Hence, language has 4 components. Okay. Now, very importantly, all this might appear to be theory, but you definitely might get questions on the theory aspects of your topics also. So it will not be advisable that I'm doing only questions, I'm not doing theory. There might be a 1 marker saying what are the 4 different components of language. Please explain, then it becomes 2 marks. Please write a short note, then it becomes 3 marks. So the weightage of the question increases with every detailed aspect of the question. Okay. Hence, the 4 components of language will definitely involve some kind of an understanding. So please stay attentive. These are the 4 kinds. Now, if I ask all of you in class, how many of you are good readers? How many of you are good listeners? How many of you are good speakers? And how many of you are good writers? Writers, of course, many of you have told me that many of you write. You write in various languages, regional languages, mother tongue, etc. You write essays and stories and maybe diary entries, etc. What about the other 3 aspects? Is somebody a very good reader? Is somebody a very good listener? And is somebody a very good speaker? Can you also put that in the chat box, please? Okay, Neha is, and Srinidhi is. Srinidhi is a listener. Wonderful. So you're very patient and you ensure that you listen to what somebody is saying, you don't interrupt, you have all the good time in your life to listen to everybody, and then you act upon what the other person is saying. Yes, Srinidhi, is that what you mean? What about the rest? Okay, so Bhargavi, Sanjay, and Parth, and Bhumika, and Srinidhi, of course, they have said that they are good listeners. Okay, that's interesting. Rohan says he's a good reader. Neha says listening and reading. Rekha again says listener. Kriti says she's been good at speaking and she's taken part in debates and speech competitions. That's wonderful. Good job, Kriti. I hope you've won those competitions also. Chaitanya is also a good listener. Arisha is a reader. Bhaswati says listener and speaker. Okay, Dhwani is more comfortable with regional language. Okay, so if I kind of, accumulate all the answers which you have given, Shruti, Zeba, Darshan, Soumya, and Nital, and Shalini, and Vibhu, all of you have mostly written listener, listener, listener. Jyoti, Pooja Varma, everybody, even Malay, everybody has written listener. Very few have written, a handful of you have written a good speaker. May I know the reason why? Why don't you all try speaking? You just have to be smart in your language. You just have to have a command over language, and then you are done with it. You don't have to even worry about anything. If you know your subject well, if you have a strong command over language, you can be a good speaker. Okay. So the next time I see all of you, I don't want all of you to be saying only being a good listener. I want all of you to have changed your answer and say, I am a good speaker. I'm an awesome speaker. I'm a wonderful speaker. And I'm definitely a good listener, a writer, and a reader. Okay. Without all of this, you cannot be good at language, whether it's a regional language or whether it's English. My concern definitely is with English because the whole idea behind the paper about business communication is to improve your English, to enhance your English, to make you come to a level where when you're standing in the boardroom, facing an audience, selling a product, standing with a project in hand, doing an audit report, you have all the courage and you have all the guts to speak to your client. For that very reason, I'm going to teach you a language, and that is, of course, English for today. Okay, Arshdeep says probably because of lack of confidence. Confidence can always be built up, so don't worry. When you are in my class, you have enough confidence and you are free to speak. Vishnu says somewhat of American accent. That's good, Bhumika. Regular practice and speaking in English will definitely, help you achieve your goal. Okay, so this is done, the 4 elements, the 4 components of language. Now let's move on. The importance of writing. So we'll step by step, we'll go into each of these. Why is something important and why is something not important? Okay. So I'll just make myself comfortable and then I'll start the session. Okay, anchoring in school. That's great, Kriti. Okay, Zeba. So your regional language. What's your regional language, Zeba? May I ask you? Okay. So now while I come back to the slide importance of writing, writing is a lot of things. Writing is not just writing answers. Writing is not just writing notes. Writing involves a lot of things. And what does writing involve? That's what we're going to discuss. It's an important means of communication. Everybody knows because by writing, we might be expressing some thoughts. So when I'm writing an article, I want people to be aware of my thoughts. If you are writing some story, you want people to read it probably for the sake of entertainment, or maybe I'm not happy with a certain decision made by the government. I want to influence people a certain way. I want to tell people, I want to make them aware about good hygiene conditions. I want to make the people in the rural areas aware about good sanitation. So I'm trying to influence them. Rebel, maybe I am a rebel, and this is like the pre-independence era, and I want to be part of the 1857 revolution because I'm against the British rule. I'm against the colonization. So I'm going to write pamphlets. Remember, in your history books, you must have read about so many people writing pamphlets of hatred and then spreading them in the audience, hatred against the colonizers, right? So all this is basically done for a purpose. And writing can be in any way. Writing can be in a book, writing can be in a flyer, writing can be in a pamphlet, writing can be autobiographies, biographies, and of course, the research journal, which are like a PhD thesis. All that involves writing in various styles. Now, when you write, each style of writing depends on the purpose of writing. If I'm writing to influence you, my words, my choice of words, my language will be different. If I'm writing to entertain you, then my stories will be fun loving, humorous, etc. If I'm writing factual answers, maybe I'm writing a biography on Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, or I'm writing a biography on Elon Musk for that matter, then my writing will be very, very factual and very, very informative. So the style of writing always depends on what is the main reason for writing. Then I will decide my tone and my style. Okay, that's the first point. Second is, I also write for personal records. Like I want to keep note of what are my investments, what all classes do I have, what subjects do I have to teach, what is my next day agenda, what is my next month agenda. So any personal record is to be noted down. Now, of course, all of you are using Excel, but it's good if you write with a pen and paper. There is more registration happening. And similarly, official records. So any records can basically be written whenever you want to keep them, in office or at home. Okay. Okay, Zeba, Hindi, of course. Shivangi, what does that mean? You want to talk a lot of different words. Okay, Kriti, bibliography. Yeah, bibliography is also a style of writing where you just list down the books referred to. Okay, so my agenda is I'm going step by step. I've done the first two. Now I'm moving to this third one, which is it helps in content development. What does this mean? So when I'm trying to develop content for a website, I'm trying to develop content for a particular topic, I need to write, because unless I put my thoughts and ideas and facts and figures and all the information I have gathered, unless I put them in a coherent form, how will it become content? For content to be called content, it has to be organized, it has to be structured, it has to be logical, it should be flowing in a certain order. Like many of you are using Wikipedia, isn't it? Now, Wikipedia is nothing but a source of information, and it is nothing but content development. So, who is developing content for it? There are people at the back end who are developing content. Okay. Now, when you do something, you don't understand a question, you simply type it on Google and you try to find the answer. That is content, isn't it? So, content basically means you are trying to gather all the relevant information for a particular topic, and you're going to put it somewhere on a platform which is easily accessible for the audience. These days, of course, we are more keen on the digital platform. So you just type it on the net and you get the information. That is developing content. Okay. Source of livelihood. Now, source of livelihood means it's the only way I am earning money. So I'm a writer by profession. So I'm Ruskin Bond, I'm Rabindranath Tagore, I'm Maithili Sharan Gupta. I'm Mahadevi Verma. I'm Mr. Harivansh Rai Bachchan. These are people who were writing as professionals, and that is the only means by which they were earning money. Okay, Jyoti? So when you are earning money, that is the only way money is coming into your house. That's your job, basically. So when writing becomes your job, we say it's your source of livelihood. Livelihood means daily living. Okay. Okay. Next comes used for later reference. This is like reference book. So if you were doing a subject, suppose you're doing maths. I'm sure many of you had maths in school till class 12th. Okay. How many of you have maths? How many of you had maths till class 12th? So when you have maths in 10th and 11th and 12th, etc., what happens is I need to do more than my main book. I need to do more than my NCRT. So what am I going to do? I'm going to refer to external sources, which will be maybe an R.D. Sharma, maybe an R.S. Agarwal. That becomes a reference book. So writing has been done not for the main text, but for references. Hence, I will say it is used for later references. Okay. Okay, Kruti, we have compulsory in foundation. Arshdeep, what compulsory in foundation? Okay, Neha didn't have maths. Fine, that's okay. Okay, and the last is it gives a personal touch. Suppose I'm writing a diary. You know, there's a famous book called Diary of Anne Frank. It's about the Jews and the Nazis, how the Nazis killed the Jews and the kind of sufferings they had. So when I'm writing a diary, I'm kind of giving it a personal touch because I'm telling you what I felt. I'm telling you my opinion. I'm telling you my thoughts. That becomes a personal touch. Okay. So the importance of writing is basically all these things which I have listed. There might be others. I've tried to focus on the very important ones. Okay. Okay, Ashdeep, I got it. Foundation, of course, it's compulsory. That's what Arshdeep meant. I was just asking about class 12. Okay, so is this slide clear? So you've understood why do we need to write. So if I ask you a question after 10 minutes and if I say, can you all list down three important reasons why one should write? One, two, three, 3 mark question, 1 mark for each point. You should be able to give me a smart and a quick answer. Will you be able to do that? Everybody? Okay. Is it a yes from everybody? Because I'm not going to share my slide again. I'll simply ask you, give me the importance of writing in 3 points. So any one of these three, you can give me as your answer. Does it make sense? Okay, can I move on then? Okay. How to start writing. Now, this is a very important aspect. In fact, this is the most important aspect uh, for writing because unless I know how do I start, what do I do? I know I want to write, but क्या करना है, कहाँ start करना है, that I don't know. So I'm going to discuss whatever is there in this slide. Okay. Okay, Bhargavi, thanks. Arshdeep, Arisha, Bhumika, say thank you. Everybody has understood. Dhwani, Nital, Jia, Diksha, wonderful. So you're going to give me a quick answer after 5 minutes when I ask you. Srinidhi, not exactly. It's more of a foundation paper. Yes, Barkatullah. What notes should I upload? Okay, the PPT you mean? I'll definitely upload this. Don't worry. I've already uploaded the first PPT on note making part one. Part two, I think I forgot. I'll do that also. And now after the class finishes at around 4, I'll upload this one also. Note the introduction to basics of writing. So wherever you have time, you can revisit and listen to the lecture. Okay. Fine. So now let's go step by step and understand how to start writing. Now, the first step is selecting, which means I should select the topic. I'm going to write on environment. I'm going to write on, let's say, global warming. Within environment, also, it's a big topic, so what am I going to write on? I'm going to write on the challenges the country's economy is facing with the falling GDP or the raised high rate of increase in inflation. What am I going to write? That is what I have to select. I'm going to write on religion. I'm going to write on politics. I'm going to write just to influence people. I want to be a YouTube influencer. What are you trying to write is the selection process, which is probably the most tedious and the most time consuming one. Okay, that's the first one. Now comes the second, which is thinking and brainstorming, which is basically talking about what should I write. Excuse me. Thinking is I've decided on a topic, but I don't have much of information. So I'll sit and I'll discuss and I'll actually analyze. Okay, so I'm going to collect some points from this place. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to make it into a story. I'm going to make it into a diary. I'm going to make it into an interview. All that is there in the second part, which is the thinking part. So that's where your brain, your forebrain is actually working the most, because you are thinking and you're putting a lot of information on this. Okay, that is the thinking aspect. So brainstorming is nothing but you are actually putting a lot of load on your brain and you're trying to tell how all, what all, and when am I going to put things in the first topic which I have selected. Okay. To prove as evidence, yes, Rohan, that's also correct. Completely agree with you. Okay, this is done. Clear? Fine. Now moving on to organizing. Now, some people, when they write, no, I don't find the writing very structured. It's like very haphazard. Some points here, some points there. It's very cluttered. It's very scattered. It's not organized. So when I have to organize, I have to put the introduction. Then I have to think about the main body. Then I have to think about the conclusion. Maybe there's an inference. Maybe there's a logical corollary. All that in place. That makes a good organizational structure. That is what I mean by organizing. So when I say, okay, why don't you all write a small article on some topic? What should be your answer? Okay, let me think. Let me gather my ideas. Let me put them in a certain order. And then finally, the fourth step is the actual writing. So writing, which we actually are talking about, is at the fourth level of the basic steps. Before writing, you have three important steps. Okay. Now you start writing. So once you write, you can take like 2 days, you can take 20 days, you can take 200 days, you can take the whole year. It's completely on you. So if you're writing a book, you might as well take an year to finish a book. If you're writing short notes, you might as well take like 10 minutes to write notes. If you're writing a movie script, you might take 2 years. If you're writing a novel, you might take 5 years. So what are you writing? That actually decides the number of days, time period which you will take to finish it off. Okay. Is it clear till writing for everybody? Please give me a yes or a no, whatever is your answer is. If it's a no, I'll take you to it again. If it's a yes, then I'll move on with the last 3 points. Okay, quickly tell me what is the answer from your side. Have you all understood? Is it okay for everybody? Great. Okay. Thank you so much for your answers. Jia, Gareja, Kriti, Trishita, Arisha, Parth, and Srinidhi. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody. Let's continue. So we're coming to the fifth topic, which is revising. Now, that's something which I think everybody keeps saying. Even your parents would say exams, once you write your exam paper, please revise it. Please revise it. Please, before you submit the answer sheet, revise it. It's a very important task and we take it very lightly. Because of that revision, you won't believe people start getting extra marks, because when you're doing it for the first time, you would have simply done it in a hurry. But when you're doing it for the second time, you will actually spend time like 10 minutes extra, 20 minutes extra, whatever extra time is left, to finally understand what mistakes have you made. So revision of your work is very, very important. Okay. Please revise whatever you write. Then comes the editing. Now what happens is sometimes when I use a particular word, I'll feel okay, no, I'll just put it like beautiful and pretty right now, maybe I'll change it later I'll realize I think I can substitute it with a better word. I can write something better than beautiful, I can write something better than pretty. That's what revising means, because that's what editing means, sorry. So I have to change the word, I have to look for a better word. That is what editing is. Okay. Now, last of all is finally your book manuscript is ready. Everything has been done. Editing has happened. People have quality checked it. You have showed it to your parents. You've showed it to your friends. You've showed it to the editors. And your book goes for publishing, which is printing. And that's when you become an acclaimed writer. You are now the J.K. Rowling of India, maybe. So even if you're writing another story like Harry Potter, or if you're writing another story like Percy Jackson, or if you're writing another story of Mahatma Gandhi's experiments with truth, whatever you write, you are an acclaimed writer when your book gets printed. Okay? So if you follow these steps, you will definitely be a good writer. The moment you write in a hurry, you will commit mistakes in language, in grammar, in expressions. People will not appreciate your writing. If people don't appreciate your writing, your books will not sell, and hence nobody will want to read your books henceforth. Got it, everybody? Great. Organizing, Surya, organizing, Bhargavi, I'll explain. It's basically about arranging the ideas. Like I have 5 characters in my mind and I'm writing a story. But what do I do with those 5 characters? So I have to organize. 2 I'll introduce in the first part. 1 comes in the middle, who is a foreigner to that village, and the last 2 are old men who are staying there, but their entry happens towards the end of my story. That is organizing. Organizing is putting your thoughts in certain sections which look like a complete structure. That's when I say you have written a consistent answer. Even when you write your answers for, the BCR paper, you have to be very, very sure that things have to be clear, things have to be very consistent. You can't start from the middle of the answer and come first. If they're asking for definition, then give the definition very crisply. Okay. What is non-verbal communication? What is verbal communication? What is wheel and spoke style? Everything has to be to the point. If it's 1 mark, if it's 2 marks, then you can extend your answer. So you need to be very smart in laying your thoughts properly in a certain structure, in a certain order, so that whoever reads is just happy and just happy with your answer. Okay, that's what organizing means. Great. Thanks, Priti and Bhargavi. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Have you read that, Priti? It's a good book. So is this slide okay from all of you? Can we move on? Anything which you want to say, you want to talk, you want to discuss about when I say steps of writing? No? Okay. Now, like somebody was I think Bhargavi and Surya just now asked me about organizing. I'll give you a little more understanding about the aspect of organizing. So when you organize, like, in note making, remember we did a linear list and we did a non-linear list, isn't it? Here also it's something like that only. Aspects of organizing, we either do it in a list form or we do it in a half radial list. It can be a full radial list also. So in case of a full radial list, what happens? I'll try and annotate if possible. In case of a full radial list, maybe I have a line here, I have a line here, and then I have a line here, I have a line here, and then this is one answer I'm writing. This is another answer, this is another answer, and this is another answer. This becomes a full radial list, which is like a full circle. Half radial list is simply just 3 aspects to a circle. Nothing much. I mean, these are just styles of putting down your content in an organized way. You may use any way, but this is like the easy one. So I thought you should know. Somebody someday is talking about, radial list and you don't know what is a radial list. That doesn't look good. That's why I'm just making you aware of it. Okay. Half part is remaining. Okay, Kriti. So next time I meet you towards the end of the sessions when I have the other topics, I hope you would have finished them. Okay. Try and read fast and finish the book as soon as possible. Okay, so the list form is nothing but a bullet list. It's like a drop down list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The list can go as long as possible. The radial list I have shown is a half radial list. You can do a full radial list also. It's completely your style. But always remember, the organizing part should be very, very neatly done. Sometimes I've seen, students like making a mess out of the organizing paper. So when you're trying to organize your answers and your thoughts on a rough piece of paper, from here there is one arrow coming, from there is one arrow, here there is one circle, there is one circle, here I've written one line, the continuation goes on the first line, from the first line I make a star here, then the star goes to the left. Please don't do that, which means you are disorganized, you are not at all organized. That kind of a style, you please remove it from your head. You please stay away from that style. You have to be organized, means things should be clear. Your answer sheet, your rough paper, your notes, your registers, your manuscripts of writing should be like so nice that anybody who visits that or anybody who reads that should be getting a good idea about what you are trying to say. Got it? So that's what organizing means. Fine. Now I've just given you a half radial list, for example, if you can see towards the right side. Now this can be language. Language can have poems. Language can talk about society. Language can talk about psychology. So when I talk about psychology, I'm talking about mind. When I talk about sociology, I'm talking about society. When I talk about English, I'm maybe talking about verse. So I'm talking about poems. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's just that, the branches, the sub branches, the root tree structure, the mind maps, all that come into the organizing sector. Got it? Got it, everybody? Ha, Avinash. I'm sorry, Chaitanya, is that really important? So, Avinash, list form is good for organizing. Okay. And Bhargavi says organize is clear. Okay. Should I clear it again, or are you saying it's clear to you? I mean, I didn't understand what you want to say. Okay. So, till here, I think everything is good to go. I'm not seeing any questions. I'm not seeing any doubts. If you have a doubt, you are most welcome. Please tell me. Okay, Bibhu and Zeba have given their thumbs up. They have got it. Good. This is a smart class. You always get it very fast. I don't have to repeat many things. I've got this. I've also understood that all of you, whoever visit my class, have a very sharp understanding of the subject. At least my subjects I've seen. I don't have to like repeat and repeat and repeat. You are getting it in one go. That's good. So you all are like really sharp students and smart students. Okay, let's move on to styles of writing. So before I move on to styles of writing, I just want to tell you, this is something which we're going to discuss separately. Each one of them takes time, so please be attentive. After this, I'll give you an example for each: descriptive, expository, narrative, and an editorial. Okay? Last is an advertisement. Now, then I have a few questions, and this is a practice which you will do towards the end of the session, maybe after the break. Okay? Is that okay? Clear? Fine. So let's continue with styles of writing. Expository style. Half radial is sagar is nothing but a style of writing. You make a circle, and out of the circle, you start bringing out spikes. And for every sub part, instead of putting it in the sub part as a list, you just put it in the circle. Nothing much. It's just a style of presenting. It's making it more graphical. That's it. Okay. Now, I'll discuss all these four before the break, and after the break, I'll take you through each one of them separately. So when I say styles of writing, the first is an expository style, which means it is explaining. I'm giving you a lot of explanation about how photosynthesis happen, how GST is calculated, how FDI is calculated, what is the Duckworth-Lewis method, how is a test match played. I'm giving you explanations. Okay, you buy a new washing machine. How should I start and switch off the washing machine? You buy a new gadget. How should you use the gadget, which comes in the instruction manual? That is explanation. The newspaper is explaining some idea. The research paper is explaining a theory. The instruction manual is giving you instructions for operating a device or a gadget. That is what explanation means. So any text which does that is known as an expository text or an expository style of writing. Okay? Okay, don't worry, Amritans. I'll come back to that. Organizing is what we're doing now. So we're just organizing styles of writing. It's just about putting things together and arranging them in a certain way. Your ideas. That's what organizing means. Anything is okay, Lakshita. It depends on what is the question. So you don't know what is the question. They will not ask you to organize. This is just a style of writing for your own self. So even if you get a question that write down the ideas in a half radial list, it will be mentioned. If they don't give you anything, then you are free to write it either in the half radial list or in the list form. That is completely your choice. Okay. Blog, exactly. Yes, because what happens is sometimes blogs come in descriptive writing because I'm actually describing a detail. So whatever I felt, I'm describing. So blog can be narratives, blog can be descriptive, and blogs can be expository because it's an informal style of writing. Okay, Pooja? Okay, great. Now let's come back to persuasive. What is persuasive style of writing? Persuasive means to convince, to persuade. So when I'm trying to convince the reader that what I am saying is good, that becomes a persuasive style of writing. Like imagine Mr. B.R. Ambedkar giving a speech in a big public and trying to tell that let's not discriminate against scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. That's a speech where he's trying to persuade somebody. Suppose the head of an organization stands in the crowd and he's preaching something. Please join me. Let's get into this new rebellion. Let's start a revolt. Maybe in the 1857 revolt of India, people were giving speeches across the country trying to, influence people, bring them into their own self. The moderates were talking about something. The extremists were talking about something. Then that becomes persuasion. So when you're trying to convince your listener or your reader, we are here concerned about writing, so we'll only be concerned about the reader, that you have to listen to me and what I'm saying is correct. So please listen. That becomes persuasive style. Okay. So advertisement is a persuasive style because when I'm using a particular shampoo, for example, so the shampoo says it's good for frizzy hair, it's good for oily hair, this is very good if you use it 10 times. It's trying to force me to buy it, isn't it? It's trying to tell me that this product is good for certain reasons. Hence, it is persuasive. So advertisements are persuasive and so are flyers. Flyers are nothing but those pamphlets which you distribute in the newspaper. Okay. Flyers come in newspapers like, those very small sheets of paper which talk about the opening of a grand saloon, the opening of a grocery store, the opening of a tuition center, all that are persuasive. And book reviews, of course, when you read a book, you review it, you tell me what is good, you tell me what is bad, that becomes a book review. Got it? Okay. Now, third is descriptive, which is very, very detailed. So I am visiting Kerala next month. So I'm going to write a travelogue. So how exactly I took a flight, how exactly I took a train, what are the means of transport, what did I do in Kerala, did I visit Alleppey, did I visit Cochin, did I visit Trivandrum? All those details which I'm telling you, describing each step of mine in the journey becomes a descriptive style of writing. So the third one is a descriptive style of writing. Okay. Poetry, of course, is description. Writing stories is description. Normal prose is description because it's just describing details, right? If I'm trying to talk about a match highlight, so suppose we had a match, suppose the Asia Cup was going on and there was an India match. So I'm trying to tell you what happened in the match 2 days later. I'm giving you details of the match. That becomes descriptive writing. Okay? Yes, Diksha, flyers are pamphlets. Webinars are also persuasive style. Yes, seminars and webinars are persuasive style because they're trying to preach something and they're asking the students or the crowd to join you, to enroll somewhere, to, start taking coaching for a certain exam. So seminars are also persuasive style. Correct, Pooja? Okay, now the last one is narrative. Narrative mostly have the I factor, which is the I pronoun. I went there because I'm going to narrate it. I'm going to tell you my experience. Hence, it is called a narrative. So, memoirs, stories, novels, poems, all can be narrative. They are telling you something. Like a story can be descriptive also, a story can be narrative also. There's a very thin line of difference between the two. So, when I say a story is telling me a story, it doesn't sound good. So I'll say a story is telling me something about the characters which are involved in it. Then it's a narration. Similarly with novels, any fiction that can be a novel or a novella or a story. Okay. Similarly with poems, if you read a poem on something, a topic like, something on nature, if you're reading nature poets, you're reading Wordsworth and Keats, then you're talking about nature. If you're reading a little more modern poetry, you're talking about oneness with the environment, you're talking about a dog or a cat. A poem can be on anything. It's all telling the poet's or the author's point of view. Hence, it is called a narrative. You get my point, everybody? Yes, Lakshita. Novels can be in a descriptive style also. You are very correct. Okay. Anything else? Memoirs are basically, when you talk about a historical account or a biography written from personal knowledge about somebody, it's called a memoir, which means I'm going to write from whatever I know about Mr. Abdul Kalam Azad. If I'm going to write something about him, that's going to be a memoir and I'll get it published. So it's just my style. I am telling you what happened when I met him. I am not writing his biography. It's kind of a biography. Autobiography is narrative style, but it's the person about whom you're writing. He has narrated everything, and you are just a medium or a means to bring it out to the audience. Okay? Poems, poetry is the same. Yes, Shaikh. Yes, Sheikh. Poems and poetry is the same. Lucidly. Lucidly is comprehensively, clearly. Something is lucid, which means it's intelligent, it's clear, it's easy to understand. That's lucid. Okay, Kriti? Yes, Jia. So you're very correct. When the problem comes, it's difficult to differentiate between the descriptive and the expository style. Now, explanation always happens for a particular concept. Suppose the idea of a GST. I don't know how to calculate GST. So I'm going to explain. I'm going to put the formula. Or you're doing a topic in science. If you're doing, let's say, the the digestive system. So I have to explain to you the working of the stomach, the esophagus, the intestines. That becomes explanation. That is a expository style of writing. Okay. Or suppose, like I told you, you're buying a new television and the television comes with a with an instruction manual. So the instruction manual will tell you, okay, now you have to click this button, then you have to put in this socket, then you have to wait for the green light. After the green light, you have to use your remote. All that is instructions. It's explaining the process of how to use a television. Hence, that becomes expository. Moving on to the descriptive style, what happens in descriptive is the incident has happened and I'm going to describe it. I went to Kashmir last year, so I'm going to describe what was my trip like. I saw a match yesterday. I'm going to describe how the match was. So I'm going to give you finer details about an incident or a situation which has already happened. Okay, there is no explanation because it's not a new concept, it's not a topic, it's either a situation or an event. Or I attended a seminar 2 days back, and my friend is asking me today, how was the seminar? So I'm going to describe the seminar, I'm not going to explain the seminar. You get the difference, everybody? Okay, Lakshita, that's a nice one. Live classes are persuasive style. Yes, I'm trying to convince you that please read, please write, please become a good student for the BCR paper, get good marks. Scripts of blogs, maybe. Again, I'm telling you, Kriti, blog is a very informal style of writing, so it can adapt any one of these four. It's very difficult to put blog in any one of the categories. It can be either of the four styles written on the screen. If I am a writer, a drama, then what will I say it? What will you say? What? I'm sorry, Surya. Drama can be for entertainment purposes, no? So it can come under the narrative style. Memoirs is describing memories. Yes. So I met Mr. Nehru sometime, whenever he was alive. I haven't met him though. I mean, that's just an example I'm giving you. Or let's say I met somebody. I met the famous singer KK once. Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have KK with us now. So what do I do? Now I'm going to put on all the thoughts and all the discussions I had with KK, and I'm going to get them published. That becomes a memoir. Okay, it relates to memories, so you're very true in that. Descriptive is more personalized and expository is based on facts. Yeah, that could be a very good way of understanding. Personalized because I want to tell you what I went through, what I saw. Whereas expository is, it's just the way it is. I cannot change it. So if the earth rotates on its own axis and revolves around the sun, it's just the way it's going to be. So if I have to talk to you about rotation and revolution, I will only use facts. I can't add any extra information from myself because it's not personal. The fact remains that the sun rises in the east and the sun sets in the west. So that is a concept. I can explain the concept, but I cannot describe the concept. Ha, Diksha, yes, yes. No, Kriti, I haven't. That was just an example. Okay, clear, everybody? So, are these four styles of writing clear? Can I assume you are good to go with the second part, which is where I'm going to show you one example for each of the topic? Is it fine? Okay. So I'll take a break here for about 5 to 7 minutes. We'll come back after a short break. After about 5, 6 minutes, we'll come back and I'm going to show you examples of each of these styles of writing where you will be able to identify why I have given them a caption of descriptive or persuasive or the other two. Okay. Drama comes under narrative. Yes. Okay, I'm explaining. Fine, Sagar. That's a very good aspect. I'm explaining, so it's an expository style. So, classes can be various things. Classes can be descriptive also, classes can be persuasive also, and classes can be expository also. Okay. Anyway, so we'll take a short break and we'll come back quickly with all the details of the four styles of writing. Thank you so much. Okay, students, welcome back after a short break. I hope that was a refreshing one. You've got some nice time to relax and blink your eyes and not see the screen so much. So let's start again. Bhumika has given me something which is expressive, okay, narrative. To describe is descriptive, persuade is influence, and explain is expository. Yes, Bhumika, you are perfectly right. Everything is correct. And good afternoon, Ashish. You've just joined. Presentation, the PPT which I'm sharing for that matter is more about explanations because I'm trying to tell you what a concept is. It's less descriptive. Okay, Zeba? Okay. So can I assume that wherever we stopped, you all are kind of okay with that much? That is okay. And let's continue after this, the four styles. What are the styles exactly? That's what I'm going to take you to. Okay. This is the first one. So all of you will be required to read it because that's only when you will be able to understand the technical differences. This is descriptive text. I've given you two examples. The first one is from a book. The second one is from a story of Charles Dickens. You may please read both of them and tell me what have you understood out of the two texts. They are separate, okay? They are not related to each other. So don't think it's a continuation. Good afternoon, Faizan. Why have you joined late? You were not there in the first 1 hour. Okay, guys, please start reading the text quickly. The first one is about holy, and the second one is about, I'm not telling you what, you may read. There are a lot of good words. Please read and quickly tell me what is the first one talking about, what is the main theme, what is the central idea of those lines. Read both the passages and then I'm going to ask you some questions. There might be some difficult words in the second passage which you may not have heard or you might not understand. Even if you don't know those words, I think you can simply read the text and then answer the questions. Done, everybody? First is describing the festival of colors. Okay, Bhumika says that. Himanshu says it's descriptive and narrative. When it's not narration, both of them are descriptive text. So you don't have to worry about what is the text, Himanshu. Okay, Lakshita says done. Okay, Kriti, the first passage talks about the main theme being the victory over good over evil. Very good. Holy is described, yes. Okay, Fezan, no worries. Take rest and then be active in class. Avinash, this is all like, months have names. Like in Hindi, you say some specific names. So the lunar month is where it's a full moon. Okay, got it? Now, so what I'm trying to tell all of you is when you have a passage like this, you should be able to identify that it's a descriptive text because what is it trying to do? It's basically trying to say that I am describing the festival of Holi. Okay, so the description is happening in a certain way that I know, even if I'm not aware of a festival like this, people are letting me know, and I have a lot of information coming from them. That is what descriptive text is about. So, starting from the month, starting from what does it symbolize to when does it happen, everything has been given in detail. And the moment I see details, it becomes a descriptive text. Okay. Got it? Now let's come back to the second one. Now, in the second part, his post was in as solitary and dismal a place. There might be a couple of words which I want you to do as a homework exercise. It's very easy. If I tell you the words, I know what you all will do. You'll simply note them down and then you will forget. So, here, if I mark the words, you have to open a dictionary or your Google source, whatever you refer to for English language, and you have to tell me the meaning of this, of this, of this, and the others. Of course, I think you should be able to do them. Okay. Okay. Dripping wet. Fine. So if you can tell me the meaning of these words yourself, it'll just be great. I will get to know that you all are doing a task and you all are doing an exercise. So, Sagar, I'm not asking you to identify. It's not narrative. Please remember. Okay, when I say narrative, it's going to be about a long narration. This is partly narrative because you see the word I, because you see the pronoun I, but it's basically describing a place. That's why I've given this example, because whenever you see an example like this, all of you start saying, okay, it is narrative. Fine. You can see the title. The title says descriptive text. So don't worry about thinking of a narration here. Okay, Lakshita, jagged means it's a stone which has rough edges. So if you fall on the stone or if you touch the stone, it's going to be very painful and sharp. That's what jagged means. Good. Yes, the details of the tunnel have been described. Yes, Ardhendu, now you're getting it correct. Depressing is easy. You all, sometimes tend to get into depression when you're not doing good in school and exams and CA and marks. That's like depressing. So it's very close to being sad and dull, getting into a zone which is dull. Yes, taking too much stress. Correct, Kriti. Okay, so you can do the meanings. I'm not concerned about the meanings. It's just by the way that the meanings, the words have come to the passage. So I thought I'll ask you. Okay, so this is an example. There are like two examples of descriptive text, which I have shared with you. Now, I hope you have got a fair enough idea about why is it a description. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is the expository text. Now, remember the expository text is about explanation. Okay, you have to give it a suitable title towards the end. So when you read the passage, please give me a suitable title because this is a question which often comes for the reading comprehension questions. You'll have a passage, a comprehension passage. There'll be 4 questions, 5 questions. Each question will have options. One such question definitely comes. Give it the title, give a suitable title to the passage. So I'm requesting you to attempt this. Haha, okay, Lakshita, correct. Ha, Barkatullah, that's correct. Dripping wet is like too wet that water is just dripping out of your clothes and your body. Dismal means very dull and lonely and sad, and there are no good vibes about it. Fine? Okay, please read the text right now. It's an explanatory text. It's giving you a lot of explanation and give me a suitable title. Bibhu, thank you so much. Barbarous and Jagged, your answers are correct. I hope all of you have got the meanings. Even if you have not, you can spend some extra time after class to find out the meanings of these. That's not a very big concern. The bigger concern is you have to be very sure about what exactly is the text and how do I read and understand it. Right now, I've given you an expository text. Please quickly read it and tell me the answers. Tell me the title. It should be a short and a crisp title. It should have all the important elements. It should not be very, very long. It's a title, it's not a story. Myths about bulls, the myth seeing red, okay, the myth of red, offensive, busted. Simply saying myths, Gia, will not do a good option. You need to say something more than only myth. The color world, okay. The myth about bulls is okay. The blind red. Why is it the blind red Faizan? What traditional story, Lakshita? This is a myth. Bull offense to red color. Bull takes an offense to red color. Isn't that more like a sentence, Diksha, than a title? Seeing red, charge bulls. No, bulls charge seeing red. Barkatullah, that's how you have to write it. Arshdeep, so the idea is bulls get charged when they see the color red. And this myth has been busted. So when you say the answer is no, because all cattle are color blind, they can see the world only in black, white, and gray. There is nothing about bulls actually seeing the color red. It's just in the mind. It's just a story which people have made and they've never even proven it. Okay? Jyoti, but why do you get the sky here? Is it talking about the sky? The myth of seeing red. Okay, Srinidhi has given a very good answer. The myth of seeing red. The myth of bulls seeing red. Because if you don't write the word bulls, it can also mean I'm talking about humans, but I'm actually not talking about humans. Okay. The myth of red Mansi is still better. Okay, so you've all of you have attempted it in a nice way, in a very prompt way. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now, this is explaining a myth. Hence, this is an expository text. You all get it? So you basically have to be very sure about differentiating between what is explanation and what is description. Okay. So many of you have given very good answers when it comes to titles. Some of you need to work hard because title is not something which you can in a moment guess very correctly. You need to be smart at your language. You need to be very short and crisp. Titles should be catchy. Titles should have the main grip of the whole passage. Then only it becomes a good title. Got it? Okay, let's move on to the second expository text where it's from a science textbook. It's a factual passage. It's explaining something. You don't have to give me a title. You can only read and understand why am I calling this an expository text. Can you all please do that? I'm calling this an expository text because of some details which are mentioned in the passage. So please kindly read it and tell me if you agree why this passage is an expository one. I'm waiting. You all read and then just tell me what is it about in a couple of lines. Nothing much. Don't have to give me the title. It talks about the atmosphere. Okay, the elements of air. Avinash says. Swati tells me it talks about the atmosphere. Very good. Lakshita also. Okay, so all of you, this is just from a science textbook. You must have even read it. So the sources are generally mentioned. Even if they are not, you should be able to read and understand what is the text trying to tell me. That's more important. Okay, what is the source? That is irrelevant for you. Mixture of gases explains the surroundings of Earth. Okay, Gia Kriti says fine. Sakshi says it's related to information about air and mixtures. Wonderful, Sakshi. It explains about the composition of air. Very good, Himanshu. So Ishan, you've given me the percentage separation, which is anyways given in the passage. So you don't have to repeat it. Okay, Keshav, Barkatullah, good. So all of you have understood that it's talking about the atmosphere. It's a factual based passage. It's giving you explanations about what are the components of air. What does air constitute? Like, the first slide we did, what are the constituents of language? Now we're doing what are the constituents of air. Okay, that's what this text is. Hence, it comes under the expository format. Now, this is narrative. It's a beautiful poem. It's a nice, funny poem. I want all of you to read this poem. You don't have to explain any meaning. It's quite self-explanatory, but it is narrative because I, the poet, is trying to tell what would I feel if mice could roar. So generally, roaring is a tendency of lions. Mice, like the mouse is a very small and a meek and a timid animal which can't even take out a small sound in front of a lion. But just talking about fantasies and imaginations and just going to the next level, Ruskin Bond tries to tell us, okay, what if mice could roar? It's a nice, funny poem. So please go through it quickly. Read it nicely, enjoy the poem. It's funny, it's interesting, it even has a deeper meaning, but we're not discussing the poem as such. We're going to discuss only the style of writing, maybe. Finished, everybody? Yeah, every line is a very fascinating poem. It's imagination, yes, it's complete imagination, Kriti. It's just that what if this would happen? How would things be? And then it says this world would be nicer than the most. It's basically talking about a utopian state where everything is perfect. That's what Ruskin Bond is trying to get into. What if everything was so very perfect? It will be so nice to have a world like this. And that is what Ruskin Bond is talking about. Well, let's leave what the poem content is. It's just about a narrative text. So this is an example of a narrative. My intent is to help you understand the difference in the style of writing. What comes in the poem, please don't ask because we are not discussing that. Yes, Zeba, very true. It tells just the opposite of how things are actually there in life. So actually, you don't have mice roaring. The mouse, like I told you, is very, very timid and shy. The bells would never ring. Imagine how would that be possible? Done, Diksha. Okay. Debu has done. Yes, Bhumika, it's a very interesting poem. It's quite a deep meaning poem. Anyway, so moving on, this is all about the narrative text. And once we are done with the narrative text, we come to the editorial, which is a blog, and it's a Times of India blog by a very famous writer called Baji Karkaria. She has written this. You all have to read it very, very thoroughly. And I will stop sharing the screen and you all will tell me what is this about. Okay? It has coronavirus, it has COVID-19, it also has Lord Shiva, it also has the Holy Grail, it has vaccinations, it has the Ashtanga, Namaskaram, it has lot of things which are very, very diverse. You have to read this blog. I will stop the screen share. Then you will tell me what does it have. So that will tell me how much of your content can you retain even when the stuff is not in front of you. Don't write it anywhere, please. No cheating, okay? Just read and then don't have any copies and books around you that you're copy pasting it or you're clicking pictures. I will not like that. Please be honest, okay? If you finish, you can start telling me what the text is all about. Done? Okay, Bibu. So tell me what is it about? I'm still waiting. Only Bibu has replied that he has read it. What about the others? Read it nicely, read it carefully, no hurries. Effects of coronavirus on human beings. Okay. Expectations, Kostab says. Okay, only two of you have replied. Okay, so if you see the style of writing in an editorial, it also has a little bit of subtle humor. The humor is not very evident. It's not like, you read the passage and you start laughing about it, not like that. But there are some hints towards the passage where we kind of get a smile on our face. She's talking about vaccine being so devoutly sought as the Holy Grail. So the Holy Grail goes on to the King Arthur and his knights, sorry, the King Arthur and his knights, and everybody was wanting to search for the Holy Grail. So that's what she means here, and this is as good as searching for the Holy Grail. Then it talks about the triumvirate, which is the Hindu triumvirate. So you have Shiva, you have Vishnu, you have Brahma, and then it's quite funny in terms of everything has been touched. So there is always a sense of acceptance. There is always something which we have to be sure about, that It's okay if we are having a change, but if you start accepting change, things are always good. Okay, that's what the passage means. Well, it doesn't depend on the understanding right now, because I am more concerned about showing to you how exactly the passages of different styles are. Okay, that is my main intent. This is just like a practice. I thought I can ask you to tell me. Okay, now the last one is advertisement. Now, this is a very wonderful advertisement. If you can see, the advertisement talks about, see quickly. It's a funny advertisement. Now, what is the advertisement trying to tell you? It's trying to persuade you to buy these bread gloves. Okay, it's a sourdough bread glove, and then it's persuading you, it's convincing you, because they have come out with a very unique product. So they want you to buy it. So any advertisement is basically asking you to buy the product it is advertising, or maybe it is trying to tell you that my product is better than XYZ companies, or at my place the tuition happens better, or the book I have written is a better reference guide, or the chips I'm selling, or the cream I'm selling. It's basically trying to persuade the audience. It's basically trying to convince the audience to buy whatever my product is, not the rival company's product. Okay, got it? So this is an example of a persuasive style. Clear, everybody? Is it okay till here? Any doubts for advertisement? This is another flyer. Now, what I've seen is generally many people don't use the word flyer. Maybe it's a pamphlet. So, pamphlet is just about telling you that there is a sports event happening, there's a match happening, there is a camp happening. That is about an event on a particular day. Uh, okay, Zeba. Okay, so when I talk about a flyer is giving me more information about a coaching institute which has started. A flyer is giving me information about a new batch for soccer trainers in the football academy, in the soccer academy. So I'm basically giving you some more information and details about a particular event or a match or a training session or a marathon or a march happening, a candlelight march, anything of that matter, right? Great, Bibu. No doubts and crystal clear. I'm highly impressed. Thank you so much, all. Everything is clear. So, what I'm trying to say is you should be able to differentiate between the different styles of writing. We spoke about flyers, we spoke about advertisements, we spoke about explanations, we spoke about descriptions, we spoke about persuasions. Everything together is simply writing. You need to decide what is your style whenever you want to write, like not right now. Right now, the agenda is just sit for the exam and do well and write well and know your questions and know your topics correctly. Okay, I'm just trying to make you aware of the different styles by giving you these examples. Because what happens is sometimes it becomes very difficult to differentiate between the styles. One passage may come into two categories. Then students start mustering, oh my God, how is this possible? Why is it two? Why is it two? But that's okay. So you might have a passage which is also narrative and which is also descriptive. Or for that matter, it's explanatory and narrative both. That's perfectly fine. So don't get confused, don't get boggled. One style of writing need not be there for one passage. It might have two styles of writing. Okay? Okay. Now you tell me this. This is like a general question I'm asking you. What do you think is the difference between a flyer and an advertisement? I just now showed you this is a flyer and this is an advertisement, and I told you the answer also casually. If you were listening to me, you must have got the answer. If you were not listening and busy playing Candy Crush and Fortnite, then that's very bad. Please listen to me carefully. Be attentive in class. Listen to what topics I'm saying. Now, anybody can try and attempt this question. What is the difference between a flyer and an advertisement? I've shown you a flyer and I've shown you an advertisement. You've seen both of them. So I'm waiting for the answers. Brochure is basically a detailed study, like when there is a new apartment coming up, when there is a new builder, or when there is an instruction manual, that is a brochure. So a brochure will always have many pages as compared to a flyer, which is a small informative piece of paper informing you about the opening of classes, or you have started cooking classes, or you have started English coaching. That all comes in a flyer. That's also a correct option, Bibu. Advertisement is a broader term, whereas flyer is a medium of advertisement. Yes. So, in by means of a flyer, I'm trying to advertise something. Advertisements can be in the form of radio ads and television ads, but flyers are always on a piece of paper. Okay, very well explained, Bibu. Cost the bell. It's also an announcement. No, suppose I come up. I'm in an FMCG company and I come up with a new brand of chips. Am I not announcing it to the public? No, Tanu, that's not the difference. You don't have to have it like an own product. Bibhu till now has got the answer correct. Advertisement is not always product news, Jyoti. It might be a product news, but suppose somebody opens a new bakery in your area. Will he not give an advertisement about an upcoming new bakery in this colony, in this nagar? That's an advertisement, and that's also a flyer. Yes, Bhargavi has it correct again. Advertisement is a broader term, like Vibhu started his answers. And within the advertisement comes a style of advertisement, which is flyer. Okay. Okay, now let's come to the practice element. Now, before I come to this practice, I have to ask you one last time. Is there anything which you could not understand? Is there anything which I should repeat in 5 minutes? Because then we'll be coming towards the end of the class, and I really want you to practice writing. These are some quick tips which you can see and you can put them in your mind and you can register them strongly. You have to write with an open mind. Don't be conservative. Don't get biased. Be very unbiased when you're writing. Even if you're writing some very critical and sensitive stuff, please make sure you're not hurting the sentiments of anybody. That's one. Second, your sentences should be heavy and meaningful. They should have a reason to be used, but they should be short. There are many children who write in exams, the answers, and you write like one sentence, it starts in the first line and it ends in the 10th line. That should not be the case. If that is the case, I'll straight away put a cross mark and I'm not giving you marks. If you write a sentence, it should be like small lines, short sentences, use punctuations. I put that in the fourth point. Use punctuations, use a comma, use a semicolon. That kinds of breaks your long sentences and it's pleasing to read. It's easy to understand also. Third is use paragraphs. Now, paragraph indent is something which you've been learning since letter writing, the introduction, the main body, the conclusion. When you write a formal letter to the editor or if you write an informal letter to your friend, both ways paragraphs are included. Okay. Then comes grammatically correct language, which is the main part of language. The most important aspect of language is using correct grammar. If you change the tenses, if you change the gender, if you change the preposition, if you say the book is on the table, and if I say the book is at the table, that's wrong English, isn't it? I'm waiting at the bus stop, I'm waiting in the bus stop, wrong English. So you have to be very good with grammar. Your logical reasoning for grammar based questions like prepositions, articles, grammar based topics, should be so strong that any question on grammar, you have direct speech, indirect speech, reported speech, all that you should be able to crack very fast. Okay. Next is you have to maintain a consistency and you have to maintain a flow. Now, what does this mean? So I'm starting to write from one paragraph and I'm kind of writing about the Himalayas, for example. Now, when I'm describing my visit, my trek to the Himalayas, I'm going to talk about how exactly we climbed the Himalayas, what was the temperature, what was the surroundings, isn't it? So I have to start in a certain order. I suddenly can't start from the ending day and then come to the middle and then to the start. There is a certain chronology which I have to follow. So that leads to consistency. Step by step, order by order, logic by logic, one by one. Okay, so there should be a flow. For example, in the first paragraph, I'm ending at, and then we went to sleep. Then the second paragraph should immediately begin after where you got up from your sleep. How did you start? How did you continue your trip? That is logically flowing, logically correct, which is consistent. Okay. Next is please don't make a copy, which is like like control C, control V. Don't do that. You're not going to gain anything if you only copy. The whole agenda behind having these classes, the whole agenda behind asking you to attempt questions, why we keep giving you MTPs and RTPs, why we want you to excel in the English language, everything gets dissolved if you start being a copycat. If you start copying from your friend, if you start copying from your seniors, or if you start copying from the easiest, which is the internet. If you do that, then that's not a very good sign of a learner. Then what I will assume is you are not learning, you are only sitting here for the sake of attendance, and you know that after 10 minutes I'm going to finish the class and I'm going to get in attendance. It's not going to be helpful. Okay, so copying is not something acceptable. Be original, write whatever you like and your thoughts are. Don't worry about English, we are here to correct it. And last of all, please be there to make a difference, which means when you write, when Vibhu is writing, when Srinidhi is writing, when Rekha is writing, when Barkatullah is writing, when Lakshita and Omkar and Gunjan are writing, the country, the people, the surroundings, you should feel, oh wow, what a lovely writer we have. Oh, wonderful to have such an intellectual author amongst us. That's the feeling people should have in them when they talk to you as an author, when you become an author. So you should be there to make a difference. Then your writing will be acclaimed as one of the best, if not the best, at least one of the best. Okay, so any questions here, like any doubts on this slide for the quick tips? Okay, sure, everybody. Okay, now quickly tell me what are the four components of writing, of language. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Please quickly tell me what are the four components of language. Bhargavi, you need to check your study material. After the lesson in the study material, a lot of practice exercises are given. If you all bother to open the study material, you will get to know what kind of questions will be coming. Also, you will have to write an article, you will have to write a letter. All that style of writing is based on this chapter only, even resume writing. So everything is based on this only. Okay. Thank you, Srinidhi. Thank you so much that you enjoyed the class and you found it interesting. This itself is a very interesting topic. Even I love this topic because there is so much to read, there is so much to talk, there is so much to interact. It's just awesome to be here. And then you all are being very, very attentive. So I'm enjoying anyways. Jyoti, there are lots of books available in the market. You can go to a decent bookstore and ask for the book you want. You will get it. Okay, wonderful. Everybody has explained and given me the answer. Reading, listening, speaking, writing. Awesome. Good. Okay, Swati, I'll just do that. Okay. Give me two ways of making notes from the last class. Two ways of making notes. I'm stopping the sharing so that I can go back to my slides and I can then ask you questions. Two ways of making notes. Okay, Arshdeep, linear and non-linear, very good. Linear and mind mapping, good. Bhumika. Yes, Himanshu, very correct. So all of you remember. Give me at least two styles of writing which we discussed today. I've shown you different styles. We've discussed four styles. Out of the four, can you give me two styles? Okay, Diksha, Arisha, Gunjan, very good. Vibhu, Jia, okay, Lakshita, very good. Keshav, very good. Kriti, good. Gunjan, good. Pooja, all answers are correct. Quickly tell me the styles of writing. Narrative, descriptive, sarvasva, it's not normative, it's narrative. Maybe that's a typo error, I don't know, but I'm just explaining. Okay, descriptive, explanatory, persuasive, fine. So all of you know that. We've discussed this. Now I'll take you to the last part of the session and the topic, the practice exercises. Okay. Now, what all of you have to do is, we wouldn't have time right now in class to attempt all seven. What you may do is just take up anything from the first four and write a small note on it. Any first one from the first four. The next three, five, six, seven, you can try them at home after the class ends. That can be a practice exercise. But right now, if I ask you to make an advertisement of a brand new juice for your company, you can try that. You can write a short summary of the book you've recently read, or you can describe your visit to a scenic place. Scenic place means it's just beautiful. Everything you saw is as good as a picture postcard and is like a perfect scene. That's what scenic means. Okay. So quickly, from the first four, I know report will be a difficult task to write because of restricted resources here. I won't be able to see the report properly also. So anything from the first three, if you can try in the last 15 minutes which are left, I'll be really grateful. Okay, the styles of writing, you can stop all of you. All of you have given me a correct answer. Bhargavi, Kriti, Pooja, Bhumika, Tanu, Lakshita. That's done. Very good. Not an issue with that. Now let's come to the writing part, which is exactly the main topic which we have been doing in the last 2 hours. Please write something from one, two, or three. Or if you don't want to write, we can sit and discuss in our notebook. Okay, Kriti. Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you so much that you enjoyed the class. You enjoyed the teaching. I'm really highly obliged. Thank you so much, Mahesh. Yes, Kriti, you may write in your notebook if you want. I can't hear you, of course. Otherwise, I would have asked you to read it. Or what we can do is we can just discuss something from each of the topics, or at least the maximum number of topics. Let's talk about question number 7. All of you, please come to question number 7. Suppose we have a topic like describe your experience of the live virtual classes at ICAI. Now, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a descriptive style or is it going to be an expository style? Tell me, what is it going to be? What is expected out of you? Look at the first word, describe your experience, which means scenic is something which which is very beautiful to see. It's like a scene, a movie scene, which is so good. That is scenic. So we very often use this in hill stations. It's like Kashmir has scenic beauty, Nainital is this, Ooty is that, where every frame you capture is just like a picture perfect. Okay. What is that, Barkatullah, about the Golden Temple? Awesome, Nitin. That was such a nice, overwhelming gesture he's written about the faculties at ICAI. It's so nice to get such a good, positive feedback, and you really enjoy it. Okay, it will be a descriptive style. So you all have understood that. Point number 7 is going to be a descriptive style because it talks about describe your experience. So when you describe your experience, you're going to talk about it in terms of I. Okay, because it's your experience. So this is going to be descriptive narrative. Okay, you are describing, and since you are describing your own experience, it can also be narrative. You got it? Okay. You don't have to explain about ICAI, Lakshita. You have to talk about your experience of the classes. Suppose today's class, what was your experience? You describe what all you did, how you enjoyed, how you got bored. That is description. That is not explanation. Okay? Okay, shoe dog. Okay, very good, Saima. You've been quite silent today since morning. You haven't spoken much. Okay, great. So Kriti has written a beautiful remark for the faculties at ICI. I am thankful to you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of all the faculties at ICI. Okay, so all of you have now started giving me a good description of your experience for the live virtual classes. Good. I Do What I Do. It's a book by Raghuram Rajan. Okay, the former RBI governor. Very good, Diksha. That's a good choice of book. First of all, I should comment that it's a good style of reading you have taken up. Okay, so Bibhu is giving me a description of the place he visited, which is Kashi. And Diksha has given me an example of a book she has read. And Bhargavi is telling me about her experience at ICAI. Okay. So what I suggest is now that we are, towards the end of the class, we are almost finishing the session. What I can ask all of you to do is you can see this particular slide after it gets uploaded, after the PPT gets uploaded. You can see this slide. Take up whatever topics you feel you are not good at. Okay, don't take up topics which you are good at, because then I know then you're all doing it. But something which you are like not sure, can I write a summary, can I be able to explain my experience, can I express my opinion on the NEP, whatever you think is difficult, read something about it. For example, NEP will have a lot of information on the sites will have a lot of information on the NEP. What exactly is the education policy? Why do we need to change it? What about the people who are opposing it, etc., etc. Then you write your opinion, which is very neutral. Okay, you don't have to take sides. So what I ask you to do is uh, your opinion on the education policy. That's going to be an opinion based statement. So it will be a blog basically. You might be trying to persuade people that NEP is good or bad. So it depends on how you have written, Diksha. Sometimes I have not written to persuade people. I'm only stating facts. Okay. And if I start telling you my opinion, it's a narrative because I am telling you what I feel. Fine. But if I'm trying to change the thoughts of the people, if I'm trying to tell them that no, this is not correct, you should not support XYZ, you should support ABC, you should not allow this government, you should allow that government. If I'm trying to influence, then that becomes persuasive. Okay. Got it? What diagrams, Arshdeep, would you want to use? Feedback is explanatory also because I'm explaining why my feedback is such. Okay. So feedback writing is expository style of writing. I really appreciate the way you all are asking questions because it's very important. Whatever doubt you have in mind, like some of you are asking, what is a debate style? What is the PPT style? What is a classroom style? what is the feedback style, which category do I put it into. This shows your alertness. It shows you are very much there in class with me, and you definitely are trying to find more. So that tinge of curiosity and eagerness in all of you, that's going to let you like succeed always in life, and keep that spirit on. Okay. So Taj Mahal visit, Kriti has written. Zeba has written about her experience at the ICI virtual classes. Fine. Saima, you can check for all the details in the revision test papers and the mock test papers. The marking schemes, etc., are all mentioned. Lakshita, you can start with like, the standard template. If you see the report writing chapter in your study material, you simply have to follow that. There are a lot of questions on report writing in your MTPs and RTPs. Take up a key and see how they are done. So if you mean the performa means the template, then yes, you have to write the report according to the template, like submitted to, date, venue, acknowledgements, experiments, bibliography, everything. I just now told you, Lakshita, okay? Bibu, if he's asking about an advertisement, generally you will not need to make an advertisement. You don't get a question on where you have to draw. That's highly unlikely. But if you think that's anyway going to help you, Himanshu, by drawing something, okay, but I've never seen it as of now. So you wouldn't have to draw anything. There doesn't need to be any art and craft part in the CA paper. It's all writing. You can write as much as you want within word limits, and you should write good. That's what I can say. Academy books, Sayama, come in both. Okay. So that would be all about it from my side. I will share the presentation soon. You can have a look. You can see the practice questions. You can try writing on not one or two, but maybe five topics, because the topics are all varied and across realms. You can use a pen and paper to write. Please remember, try and be original. Try and be very, very unique. Express yourself. Stay confident, and your choice of words should help you convince the reader. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for being a wonderful audience and being so attentive and answering all my questions promptly. I'm really, really grateful for that. Thanks a lot. I'll see you soon in some more sessions coming up with newer topics. All the best, and all of you stay safe. Thank you so much.